Hey everyone, hope we're having amazing days. This is Jake Ducey out in San Diego, and we're going to be going live today. If you've been on before to one of the live streams, just comment in, let me know where you're coming in from. So on the Educate, Inspire, Change page, what we're all about is stepping into the highest versions of ourselves, like the true vision for what we actually want to and can create in our lives. To be a leader, to be an inspiration, to make change in our communities, to make change in our personal lives or our families or our work environments. And so it's all about stepping into who we truly can be and what we can create. So today I wanted to talk about how does the law of attraction actually work and why that's important. But before we drop in, just comment in where you're coming from. I'm in San Diego. It's generally sunny San Diego, but it's been that June gloom for, I don't know, maybe about 5 days in a row. So I'm excited to connect in with everyone. So comment in where it is that you're coming from in the world. We're out in San Diego, and we're going to talk today about how do we actually step into using our mind and using our heart and using our spirit in a way to create what we want, to lead by example, to be a change maker in the world, instead of, as most of us end up living, tiptoeing through our lives, hoping to arrive safely at our death, only to find out that none of this was safe the whole time. And so if you are here for your first time, comment in, let me know. I'm Jake Ducey. If you're here, if you've been here before, let us know that you're back. So we're doing this every single Tuesday, but we've been out of sync the last few weeks. So comment in where you're coming from, and we'll get rolling here shortly. I'm in San Diego, California. I know the Educate, Inspire, Change community is all over the world. So last time I think we were on, we had over 30 countries. So we'll get going here in a minute. And I just want to talk about, it's this idea of the law of attraction. And obviously it was a popularized thing with the movie The Secret. And I think that whenever something is distilled in the type of media that can go viral or can reach a lot of people, sometimes we miss a lot of things. And so I just want to invite you to consider a couple ways that could change what you're creating in your life and how you're showing up in the world. And when we step into taking responsibility for the things that we actually create within our minds, within our hearts, and within our lives, then life gets pretty amazing. So No Tour is in Ibiza, which is a little bit different place than San Diego, California. It's nice to see everyone. So comment in where you're coming from. I'm Jake Ducey, and I am out in San Diego, California. And we're going to be talking about how to actually use the law of attraction. So if you've heard of it before, if you haven't heard of it before, comment in, say yes, say no, let me know. Obviously, I can't see your face, so it's nice to be able to read some of the comments. They don't all show up in real time while I'm looking back, but it's nice to see them all. Blanca's in Chicago, so comment in where you're coming from and let me know if you've heard of the law of attraction before, if you used it before, if it doesn't make sense to you. And it's something that I've been fascinated by for the last, 8 years or so, as I've been writing books and running seminars and studying this information for about 8 years. And Josh, I'm in San Diego too. It's nice to meet you. And it's this idea of, you look around in the world today and what do we see, right? Like, it's really hard to not go on the internet and find negative things that are happening in the world and scary things that are happening in the world. From stabbings to shootings to terrorism to political uncertainty and economic uncertainty to, if you take that down to the micro, you see that there's so many people that are stressed and confused about what their purpose is, how to create happiness, how to create success at their chosen endeavor, how to make a difference in the world. There's so much uncertainty and there's so much chaos and confusion in the world. And what I wanted to talk about was the law of attraction, because when we can understand the real power that our thoughts, our actions, and the energy that we give out actually has on our own lives, but those around us, then we put ourselves back in a position to take control of our lives, to help other people take control of our lives. And the domino effect of that, it's a term that Ralph Waldo Emerson used, it's called self-reliance. When more and more of us become self-reliant and we learn that we can actually take dominion over the impact that we have in our immediate environment and what we create in our lives, then we can start to actually create incremental change. And if you look at someone like, like who's on the timeline, the cover photo of Educate, Inspire, Change? It's people like Gandhi and Nelson Mandela and all of these individuals that have profoundly impacted the world. And they all started with the idea that their thoughts, their feelings, their life, and the actions that they take actually matter, that they matter. And the first thing that I want to invite you to consider is, we think about this idea of maybe my thoughts don't actually have power, or my images or the visions that I hold in my life don't actually have power. And so I just want everyone, if you're live right now, to just literally go like this. Smile just like this. Smile just like this and think something like, man, I'm blessed. Life is awesome. Just think of something positive, something around you, and get in that vibration. So comment in, give us some hearts, give us some likes if you've done this, if you just did that right now. And notice, does your energy change? Does your emotions change? Does your vibration change? When you deliberately put yourself in the field of positivity or in the field of optimism or in the field of confidence or whatever it is, doesn't your energy just almost immediately change? So comment in, say yes if you've felt that before, if you've actually felt that shift. Well, what happens is we don't realize quite often the real impact that we're having every single second on a cellular level that is controlling our vibration and what we're attracting into our lives. And what I invite you to consider is, what happened right in that very moment. You took conscious control in that moment. You chose, you decided. And the result was something amazing. And I invite you to consider where in your destiny, where in your vision for your life. Like, first of all, what is our vision for our life? Because if we don't step into or have a vision, what happens? Generally, we live our lives through default, and generally we're waiting and we're waiting and waiting and we're waiting for something good to happen, only to find out years down the line that life was waiting for us to step and do something good, to do something positive, do something big and magical in the world. And what I invite you to consider is that your very thoughts and actions are affecting everything cellularly. I always like to use the example of when you're a kid and you think there's a monster under your bed. Does anyone remember a time they thought there was a monster under their bed? Or maybe you woke up from a bad dream and for a couple seconds you thought you were still in the dream. You were scared still. You were having anxiety still. Or maybe you thought there was a robber or a burglar in your house before, and you are waiting, to attack this person or to call the police or whatever it is, right? So there's times in our lives where we're infatuated, we're absorbed with an idea that may not even be true. So what happens when you believe there's a monster in your bed, when there's a robber in your house, when you get fired from your job, when you're powerless, when you can't create change in the world, where there's nothing you can do about your happiness or about your career or about the change you want to make in the world? What happens? Well, it's the exact opposite of what happens when I said put a smile on your face and put a positive thought in your mind. What happened when you did that? Well, the thought that you had a chemical reaction in your brain that sent an electrical impulse through your nervous system. In other words, an emotion. What is emotion? Emotion is emotion. Energy in motion. Whose energy in motion? Our energy in motion. Our emotions are determined by the actual thoughts that we're thinking that are controlling our nervous system on a daily, weekly, momentary, minute-by-minute basis. So what's happening? There's not actually a robber in the house, or there's not actually a monster under the bed. But what's happening is we're having a chemical reaction to a thought that we're thinking, monster under my bed, monster under my bed. And what's happening? Our hands get sweaty, and our heart starts beating really, really fast, and we put ourselves in this immediate state of assuming whatever the idea is as a fulfilled fact. And unfortunately, what happens is, due to such a negative world, you just scroll the Facebook news sidebar, and you're going to see corruption and scandal and fear and possible death and this bad thing in the world, and people are struggling. And the result is that we start to get conditioned by negative outer influences. And those negative outer influences start to actually affect us unconsciously, subconsciously. So to really grasp the idea that we create our reality, we got to understand we have a subconscious mind. Psychologists tell us we have 65,000 thoughts in a day, and 95% of them are unconscious. Think about that. 65,000 thoughts in a day, and 95% of them are unconscious. How many of us are really thinking positive thoughts in our subconscious mind? And the chances are not that high, because of such a negative, stressful world, because of the way that we were raised growing up, because of something a teacher or a friend said. And slowly but surely, unconsciously, we're starting to think things that are having electrical impulses through our nervous system that are controlling our emotional state. And then we're in this state of fatigue, or this state of constant doubt, or this state of constant negativity. We're just thinking, I'm just not good enough for this, or to make a difference in the world, or to create this thing in the world. And what I invite you to consider is that right now, when you're in the present moment, you actually can move into your conscious mind. Instead of living our lives out of repeat, out of past behaviors, we can come back into our conscious mind. And we can say in this moment, just like you said, think of something positive, think of something optimistic, and see how your emotion changes. In this moment, whatever it is that you're struggling with, whether it's to get your career off the ground, or to go make a difference in your community, or to start your nonprofit, or your YouTube channel, or your book, or your finances, or to help your friend, or to get in better shape, you can start right now by taking control of your thoughts in this moment, in alignment with what it is that you want to create. So if you're just joining, I'm Jake Ducey. For a while, every single Tuesday, we were doing a live stream where we would talk about different ideas that can improve all of our lives, that can help us be the change in our own lives, in our own communities, in our own work environment, or whatever have you. So if this is the first time you've joined, say yes on the side. You can comment in with some hearts or some smiley faces. I can't see your face, obviously, so it's nice to see some level of interaction and know that you're here with me right now. So I'm Jake Ducey. My page is linked up. I have a free success hypnosis, jakeshypnosis.com, that you can listen to and start to program your subconscious mind. Because that's what happens, is that generally we consciously think positive. Generally we're like, okay, today is a day that I'm going to start to take personal responsibility for my freedom. Today's a day I'm going to start to make an impact in my work environment. I'm going to be a better husband or a wife or a friend, or I'm going to step up in my real potential to make a difference in the world, to write a book, to make my art, to start my dream business. And then what happens is we say that consciously, but then the unconscious program starts to seep back in. And it says, you know what? All your life, you've done, you just got B's and C's or D's in school, or, you never finished high school, your parents never went to college, or have you seen your bank account the last 5 years is almost always negative, and you're in debt, and have you seen how people treat you, and what's going to happen if you go speak out because, when you were 9 years old, you got bullied, so then maybe now you have the fear of failure and the fear of trying. And what I invite you to consider is whenever you start to notice that, whenever you start to notice that your conscious mind is gone and the negative thoughts are starting to creep back in, is boom, you can shift your state. You can shift your state and you can say, I am so happy and grateful now that I'm stepping this way, now that I'm doing, you can take control of your thoughts, right? So we said, take a minute and just smile and think of something positive in your life. And just think of something that excites you, something that enlivens you, right? The opportunity for us to all connect with thousands of people all through the internet. That's exciting to me, that there's people here and we're listening and we're masterminding, we're creating new things. Immediately I can shift my energy back. And the reason that that's so significant is because all of our thoughts create our emotions, right? That's a no-brainer, right? And then all of our emotions are creating the actions that we do or do not taking. And that's actually what's deciding our destiny in life. So whatever it is that you're wanting to create, I invite you to ask yourself, what is it that you actually want right now in life? Like, what is it that you, if you're serious with yourself, what is it that you actually want in life? Because what's a visionary? We always use that term visionary where they're talking about like this person and Steve Jobs and Oprah and all these people, they're visionaries. What is a visionary? A visionary is someone who lives from their vision. So why isn't everyone a visionary? Because most people are living by somebody else's vision, living by social vision, that I have to do this, and the parents said this, and friends do this, and this was normal, or self-inflicted fear that causes us to show up in a way that isn't our real vision. And so I invite you to consider, what is your vision? What is it right now that you want to create in your life? What is it? It can be anything. But what is it that you want to create? Because Steve Jobs said that the world was built by people that are no smarter than you. And when you realize that, you can shape it, you can mold it, you can create it however that you want. And so the question is for us to, what is the name of this page? It's Educate, Inspire, Change. For us to educate, inspire, change, for us to educate, inspire, change ourselves or our lives or the world in a positive way, what has to happen? Well, first of all, we've got to ask ourselves, what do I want? What is my vision? How can I step out of reaction and default and actually step into my magnificence and my courage and my bravery, which doesn't mean that fear won't show up or old programs won't show up or I won't meet negative people or there won't be bullies or naysayers or couch critics that just sit down and talk negatively. But it means that we finally said that I know that enough is enough right now. And from this day forward, I'm going to step into my real vision because I know that all of these things and troubles and problems happening in the world, I can actually start to be a change in the world simply by showing up in a totally new way. Showing up in a way where I'm saying, I'm taking control of my finances, or I'm taking control of my spirituality, or I'm taking control of my mind or my health. And by default, we become that domino effect. What does be the change you want to see in the world mean? It means that when we show up in our highest integrity and our highest visions for what it is that we desire, the byproduct is that the same thing happens to other people. So if this speaks to you, give us some hearts, give us some likes, give us some shares. Say yes if you're with me. I'm Jake Ducey. My page is linked there on the video or whatever it is on the sidebar. I don't know if you're on your phone or on your computer, but it'll pop up. And every Tuesday we go live to talk about big ideas that we can use to educate, inspire, change our own lives and the lives of those around us. So if you're with me, if this is speaking to you, give us some hearts, give us some likes, give us some shares, say yes. Let me know where it is that you're coming from in the world. On the video, I linked my free success hypnosis. Now, the reason that I'm really big on that, it's just jakeshypnosis.com. You'll see it on the link. And the reason that I'm big on that is that we've got to hypnotize ourselves in every area of our life where we say, I'm going to take no prisoners anymore. I'm not going to put myself around negative people in the world. And I'm going to start reading books that expand my mind. And I'm going to start putting myself next to new ideas and stretching myself into new circles of influence. And all of these outer stimuli, all of these things around us, what does that do? It slowly starts to hypnotize us. It slowly starts to put us and change our unconscious mind and put us into a whole new state, where we drop into old patterns less, we give in to fear less often, we let people sway us in our dreams less often, because we started to change the environments of the thoughts that are entering our mind, and the people and the ideas that are shared around us, and the books that we're reading, and the media that we're consuming. We've started to hypnotize ourselves, because the truth is that most of us are hypnotized. We're spending our whole lives hypnotized. We're hypnotized under the idea that I can only make such a difference in the world, because of my report cards, or, I can only do so well this year at my job based off of my past performance report over the last year. or I can only grow my business or my income this much because have you seen my bank account the last 5 years? Or, there's so much negativity in the world, and, there's really, we're powerless against corruption, and there's nothing we can really do. If we step out of that and we say, hey, look, today, right now, here's my vision, and I recognize that success, this is an Earl Nightingale quote. He was the creator of The Strangest Secret, which was the first ever personal development program, self-help program that ever existed. And it sold over 1 million copies. And he defined success in it, and I think it's a really cool definition of success. Is the best one I ever heard. He says success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Success is progressing on a worthy ideal. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So the question is, what's a worthy ideal? Well, a worthy ideal is an idea that you've fallen in love with, a vision that you have, a worthy one, meaning that it's something to dedicate our life to. Because the reality is that every single day we're trading our life away for something. Now, it might be the job that we're at, or it might be fixing cars, or planning in the yard, or writing books, or it might be being a mother or a father. We're trading our time for something. And the question is it worth trading our time for? So Earl Nightingale says success is the progressive realization, progressively moving forward towards a worthy ideal, towards a vision that we care for. Whether it is we want to be the best mom in the world or the best dad that we can possibly be and raise awesome children, or we want to be an author, or we want to be a musician, or we want to be an artist, or we want to help improve the company culture that we're in, or teach about leadership, or we want to get involved in our local communities. The question is, what is your worthy ideal? And then the question is, how can we progressively start to realize that more so? How can I show up more than I've ever shown up? How can I do that? How can I show up more than I've ever shown up? So if that question, how can I show up more, speaks to you, inspire everyone in the group, please, and comment in, what's a way that you can show up more? What's a way that you can show up and step into who it is that it is your true authentic self, that magnificent part of you that lives for something larger than the fears and the social constraints and the worries and the thoughts about the past and the limitations that surround you now. I invite you to ask yourself, how can I step up? Right? When we ask ourselves those kind of questions and we step into those fears, then life gets magical. Then all those positive thoughts that we've cultivated or the visions that we have, then we give them some wiggle room to work and create themselves, right? People say, the law of attraction doesn't work or positive thinking doesn't work. And Thomas, yes, it's a soapbox and umbrella light behind me. I'm not a photographer. I'm an author and I make videos. So that's where I set up all my videos for my YouTube channel in my living room. So I'm shooting right after I finish this here. So nice to see another artist out there. So if this is speaking to you, give us some hearts, give us some likes, give us some shares. Let us know if this is something you've stuck around to or something that spoke to you. I'm Jake Ducey. My free success hypnosis is linked up there. It's just jakeshypnosis.com. And it's a free success download that we can use to program our mind. Because, right, what happens is that we've got negative influences left and right all around us. And when we can start to take control subconsciously of whatever area it is our life that we want to improve, whether it's the difference we make in the world, or our spiritual mission, or our finances, or our career, or our family life, or our health, or whatever it is that is high value to you, when we really start to frame our unconscious mind positively around that, then we start to see the real shifts that are actually available to us. It's kind of like, when we get the chorus of a song stuck in our head, what happens when we get the chorus of a song stuck in our head, right? The same song plays over and over and over again. Well, imagine if the song that was playing over and over and over again was that you're a confident, energized human being, that good opportunities come to you left and right, that you attract great opportunities for prosperity and impact in the world, that you have all the resources and help that you need to create your vision, and if you don't, then it comes to you at the perfect time. Imagine if your mind starts to go like that. And in takeaway of this live stream, what I invite you to practice with me is, when you step away and the unconscious mind starts to take over, to take a breath and regain your center. Right? If you've been with me since the beginning on this live stream, what I invited everyone at the beginning to do is crack a smile and start to think of something that you're grateful for. What happens? We take conscious control. Our conscious mind kicks in instead of the unconscious, instead of the autopilot, and we take control for how we feel in this moment. And what I invite you to do is, don't try and talk to the voice in your head when it gets negative, when it gets fearful. Don't tell them it's being stupid. Don't ask them why it's thinking that. See if we can take a step back and step into our worthy ideal. How would the person that you want to be, how would you show up? How would you think in this very moment, knowing that every thought that we're thinking, every action that we're having, every belief that we're holding is influencing our nervous system, creating how we feel, creating the actions that we do or do not take, that's creating what the results are that we're seeing in our life. So what I invite you to do is practice this awareness and practice this self-awareness, right? Our conscious minds are going to kick in. Something will trigger us. Something bad might happen. But when we take up the practice to take control of our conscious mind, then it's not what happens to us that affects our lives. It's how we show up in response. And then that's when our life gets interesting, when we can tackle big problems, when whatever it is your vision that you have for your life is, and then an obstacle shows up and it defeats most people, but you're able to take a step back, regain control of your conscious mind, regain control of your vibration in your emotional state, and thus change what you're attracting into your life. And so if this has spoke to you so far, this is Jake Ducey from JakeDucey.com. Every Tuesday or so, we missed the last couple, we talk on Educate, Inspire, Change about ideas that we can use today to develop a more positive mind, to develop a more positive life, and be a more positive example for our friends, for our families, and for ourselves. So if this speaks to you, my free success hypnosis is linked there. It's jakeshypnosis.com. I use it every day as like basically a way to unconsciously program myself towards what I want. And so I want to leave you with an idea by Winston Churchill. It's one of my favorite quotes, and he says that if we did the things that we were actually capable of doing, we would astonish ourselves. If we did the things that we were actually capable of doing, we'd astonish ourselves. But then what happens is we get a big idea, and then we're inspired for a day or a week or an hour. And then what happens is, slowly, something in life happens. And it starts to change, and then it takes control of our thoughts. The things outside of ourselves start to control the way that we think. And there's a quote by Wallace Wattles. He says, "To think what you want to think is to think truth regardless of appearance." You only see with a little bit of visible light. Dogs hear more than we. There's only so much of the actual energy of this reality, of the light photons of this reality, that your eyes can actually pick up on. So it may look like your days are numbered, that this isn't possible for you, that you can't do this in the world, that this isn't going to be available to you. But all that really is an assessment off of the limited spectrum of light, the limited amount of reality that our senses can actually pick up on, which is generally determined not even by what's actually happening, but by the way that we've been conditioned. And what I invite you to do and what I've been challenging myself to is to go on this daily exploration where when I'm walking through the world, where I'm showing up, where I'm on the internet, that I take a step back and I notice, okay, there's my unconscious mind taking it over. I call it my first mind and my second mind. To me, my first mind is my limited fear-based mind, and my second mind is my seat of power. My second mind is that limitless place that all of us have within us. And so I can really simply say, okay, my first mind's showing up right now. My second mind, okay, I'm in my second mind now. Faith, thank you. Appreciate you being on here. So if that suits you, the first mind and the second mind, then try it out. So the first mind is the fear-based limited mind. It's the socially conditioned mind, the social constraints mind. That's carrying our past around with us. And then our second mind is our powerful mind. It's our seat of power. It's the place that we all have that Steve Jobs talks about when Steve Jobs said, when you realize the world was built by people no smarter than you, then you can create it and mold it how it is that you want. And what I invite you to do is to start the practice of, okay, I'm in my first mind. Okay, cool. Notice I'm in fear. Notice I'm rationalizing myself out of my dreams. I'm rationalizing myself out of my commitments that I've made to improve my life. Okay, now how can I step into my second mind here? How can I move back into my position of power? And just starting to notice the dance. And when we start to notice the dance more, what happens is slowly but surely we build a habit of quickly identifying when it is we're in fear and limits and rationalization. And we can take a step out of that and we move back into a position of power where we can honor our commitments to ourselves about what it is that we want to create in our life and improve in our life. So if you're up to that task, give us some hearts, give us some likes, say yes. I'm Jake Ducey, and every Tuesday, I think today we did at 12 Pacific. I think that's 8 Europe, United Kingdom time, I think. And so my page is linked in right over there, and I've got a free success hypnosis. It's jakeshypnosis.com, and it's linked in right over there that you can use to start controlling your unconscious mind. And so if this speaks to you, share this right now. We're trying to grow the Educate, Inspire, Change each and every day to create a real community of people that are committed to stepping into that are committed to stepping into their higher visions and what it is that they actually want to create in life. Because when we do that in numbers, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 million people, then slowly but surely we see the domino effect of real change in the world. So if this speaks to you, say yes, tag a friend that isn't on the page or is and hasn't seen this yet. Hope you have an awesome day. Remember, right? When are we in my first mind? When am I in my second mind? And so thank you for joining us. If this speaks to you, make sure you press like, make sure you comment. We'll be back. Terry says she shares daily, so thank you for sharing all the Educate, Inspire, Change posts every single day. Thank you for everyone that's joined. If you want to submit a topic for a future week, you can always comment in a topic that you think would be cool or inspiring. So thank you for joining us. Be sure you share this with some friends. I'm Jake Ducey. You can head over to my page or check out the free success hypnosis. Comment in if you enjoyed this and let us know. Be sure, like I said, you can share some of your favorite not favorite, but the ideas that would be a favorite of yours. How about that? Ideas that you'd like to have covered and things that you'd like to have discussed. So I hope you have an amazing day. Mark's right. Change starts with ourselves, right? That's how we act. That right? How did this page even start? It was that Kasim had to finally say yes to a vision that he had for creating this, right? It's this pinned post on the top, and when we step in from there, then we can really educate, inspire, change people around us, but we can step into the real vision of what we can create in our lives. So hope everyone has an amazing day. Signing off from San Diego, and see you next week.